is it? Somewhere I came up with this stupid concept for some podcast. I just cannot remember. Where did I put it? I had a name and everything. It was... Maybe I dreamed it. I feel like... But I was with... But Josh Richmond interviewed... I don't... Man. I can't find it. I don't want to throw it out. That was a really cool thing I was starting. Well... Oh, well. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nate Phillips. This is Journey into Comics. I am the best in the world, and there is nothing any of you can do to stop me. Okay, seriously. Let's just stop right there. I know I have an ego. That's all fun and well. But the reality is, it was really fun to start this show off doing a wrestling promo. This is the debut episode of Journey into Comics, and I am your host, Nate Phillips, and let's take you on a journey. So, when I started this podcast, I initially had planned to do an episode a week. Sounds simple enough. Only problem, my studio is 2 hours away from where I live. My father's house is the studio. My house is not the studio. So, this winter happened. I did one podcast. That one podcast ended up on Josh Figures It Out, hosted by Josh Richmond, formerly of the Jason Ellis Show. Thanks again, Josh. I really do appreciate it. So that one episode ended up on his thing, and then he interviewed me, and that was totally awesome. Make sure to check out Josh Figures It Out every Wednesday. He has a new episode. So that all happened, and then Winter said, nah, no one's doing anything special, and I make the rules now, and I'm going to go on a tirade and destroy everything in my path with snow. It snowed so much this year. I mean, if you live in an area that usually gets snow, I know you California folks don't, but if you live in an area that usually gets snow, you know what a standard winter is like. This was like 6 winters from hell wrapped into a snowball from hell, thrown in Santa Claus's face and kicked him in the dick simultaneously. That's what this winter was. I want to say we had something like 67 inches accumulated on the ground, or it might even be more. I don't remember. But it was awful, and it was really hard to travel. So this year it was really hard to travel, and everything kind of had to go on the back burner based on weather. I missed a lot of band practices because of the weather, and I didn't get a lot of podcasts recorded. I attempted to do some podcasts, and they were still feeling out who I was, and they'll probably end up as lost episodes that'll air someday when I'm sick and you guys want another episode, and I don't have another episode, so here's this episode that doesn't make any sense. So what did I do this winter with my free time other than drop my pen? Because I just did that. That really happened. I made art, and it was a lot of fun. Started making spray paintings. A canvas, I do a stencil, create my spray paint, design. I like to do a lot of pop culture stuff, superheroes and the like, wrestling and the like. So I did these paintings, and I thought they were decent, and then I got invited to be a part of the Northwest Indiana Comic-Con, where I did fairly well for myself, sold some paintings, and made some clients. Those clients have come back to me a couple times now, and I've done some private work for them, which is phenomenal, and I appreciate that, and you guys know who you are if you're listening. If you would like to see any of my art and or purchase any of my art, feel free to go to Instagram at rocker_art_studios, and that's where you can find me. But this winter also gave me a chance to do something else I really love, and that was read a lot of comics. Being that this is Journey into Comics, I figure we should talk about some comics.
real quick to kind of speed along the process, but I don't really care. I'll take my time. Superior Spider-Man is ending. That really depresses me. Superior Spider-Man has been a great story. I think it was creative. I think Marvel thought outside the box. They pissed a lot of people off, but you know what? It worked. It was a really cool, story to tell. The idea that Doc Ock's final, evil mastermind plot is to switch his consciousness with one Peter Parker. So when Doc Ock's body is dying, as is Mr. Peter Parker, and, Doc Ock ends up in Peter Parker's body and essentially has a moment of clarity and realizes he has to pick up the mantle and be Spider-Man, but he knows in his heart he could be a better Spider-Man than Parker ever was. He's much smarter, right? Isn't that right? I mean, did I miss something? He's a genius. His Dr. Otto Octavius, he's super smart. Yeah, well, that's all good and well, but he wasn't very practical, and I'm not going to ruin any of the story, but I will tell you, if you have not read Superior, feel free to dive right in. But we're going to jump to Image Comics. Image Comics has a couple comics that are really good, but I prefer to read only two, which is Chew and The Walking Dead. So we're going to go ahead and talk about The Walking Dead today a little bit. If you are not a fan of spoilers, feel free to fast forward to 12 minutes and 50 seconds. I hope you guys are having a kick-ass day. All right, this is your final warning. We're about to talk about stuff in The Walking Dead. If you're not all the way caught up to issue 125, please stop listening now. I can't go back. I'm just going to start right away. I can't believe Negan is dead. Oh, look. You should have left. Okay, seriously. So, let's get into this. So, at the end of issue, was it 123, I do believe? Might have been 124. I'm pretty sure it was 123. We see Dwight with an arrow, and he shoots Rick. And, according to Negan, you're supposed to take all your weaponry and roll it around in zombie guts so that, when you injure somebody, they become infected and end up dying. So Rick gets shot with what we think is zombie guts by Dwight, and our leader looks to be dying. And I was panicked for 2 days. Well, 2 issues, I'd say. Issue 124 was the whole, oh my gosh, is he going to die? And I kind of have a fever. I'm not feeling well. What's going on? Get him to the here and there. And then back and forth, and Eugene escaping and all of that. And then issue 125 happened, and Rick just goes, I'm fine. We know whose side Dwight's on because I have no fever. I feel great. The arrow hurt that just went through my abdomen, but it's better than being dead. So he sends a team to flank Negan's group. Negan is assuming that Rick is dead, and Rick opens the gates of the hilltop, and Negan's jaw hits the floor. And right then and there, I knew, dude. I knew it was, in that moment, what could come if they did it right. And I hope that they did it right, and this is what they did, and I thought it was perfect. Rick starts talking to Negan, and he helps Negan to understand and helps Negan to, show some empathy. And he says, Negan, we could be working together, setting up safe zones and doing runs for each other, where we all have a piece of the pie. You take our half, we'll take a different half of yours, and we're all a team. And Negan's like, oh my gosh, I've just been this hungry dog with a bone, and I got it all wrong. And he goes, Rick, I think this could work. I have faith. And Rick says, good, and slits his fucking throat. Awesome. Negan is a very prophetic character. I hope he becomes a part of the show. But he's very prophetic because when we first meet Negan, he tells Rick, stand up right now and slit my fucking throat. And within seconds of you doing that, my saviors will have all of your people dead. Or raped. Whatever the fuck they want to do to you. And it doesn't fucking matter because you're not going to do it. Negan is filthy. And I love it. So let's talk about the show really quickly. Season 4 just ended, cliffhanger. It was cool. They finished off the governor's story arc, although I would have liked that to have ended like at the end of season 3. They've kind of drug the governor a season and a half, and really he only deserved a true season. But they jumped around and told a little more story of who he was, and that's all fine and well. So in the show you have these things where they aren't going to do everything the comic does because it's essentially Robert Kirkman's chance to go, well, what if this happened instead? In the comics, Andrea is very much alive. In the show, she is very much not. In the comics, Tyrese gets his head chopped off by the governor. In the show, it was Herschel. And heck, in the comics, we meet Tyrese much earlier than we did, in the show. So all these things are interesting. I loved the, I want to say it was the first episode of after the mid-season finale, or it was the mid-season finale's ending. I think it was the mid-season finale's ending. I really don't remember. I think it was the first episode back where they, at the end of the episode, we meet Abraham for the first time. You sure got a mouth on you. What else do you got? Awesome. And it looked just like issue 53 of The Walking Dead. And I was like, yes. Like, that's the imagery that as a fan of the comic, I wish the show would do more of. Because that's just that very specific imagery, And it makes you think about when you were reading it. And reading The Walking Dead was definitely a special time for me. So the show's doing well. I loved the whole, they screwed with the wrong people. Rick's final line before the finale of season 4. And then everyone's like, what? But you're just going to leave us on this? That's a huge cliffhanger. Why? There's no resolution. Where's Beth? We don't even know where Beth is at. Everybody stop what you're doing right now. Put whatever you have in your hands down. Hey, put your dick away. It's gross. I don't want to see it. Gross. Put it away. Anyways, I got to travel back in time for a second really quickly to let the people know when they can fast forward to right now. Like I said, I just time traveled and it was really fun. Back then, I was listening. Dude, I talked about all that cool Walking Dead stuff that these people don't even know. Hi, people that didn't listen. Suckers. So anyways, to get away from The Walking Dead and things that could be spoilerific, let's talk a little bit about music and, stuff and things. First of all, my band Draxus, we have taken a hiatus for a year. And as of Jeffro Jam 9 on May 23rd or 24th, whenever we get scheduled officially, we will in fact be headlining Jeffro Jam 9, making our long-awaited return. Hopefully, we have a large crowd to greet us. We are doing some special stuff. Jeffro Jam is a very special event for us. We first showed up on the scene of Jeffro Jam at Jeffro Jam 5, and I think we stole that show. And then we were at 7, and that was a phenomenal show. And last year at 8 was one of the best times I've had during a Jeffro Jam. It was a lot of fun, and I was into it, and it seemed like the crowd was into it. And we had a lot of great, amazing crowd interactions. We did play our song Urban Cowboy, which just didn't fit what people were into, so, we're done there. This year, we're going to go a lot harder in the paint. We're not messing around. I mean, this year, we're playing some of our originals, and we're playing some really fun covers. We are bringing a cover back. We are bringing, for the first time since Brandon left the band, so since Brandon left, and since we have had Dustin as our lead shredder, we are going to be performing live for the first time in its entirety, Fear of the Dark. How cool is that? So I better hear you. I better hear you singing every line. Because, dude, Fear of the Dark. I'm just saying. I also want to mention we are going to be covering for the first time ever as a group a song that many people worldwide love. Many people have heard many times, and if you're a true metalhead, you know every gosh darn word. I censored myself there. Again, I do it from time to time. It happens. You better know every word. So, for the, debut announcement, I guess you'd say, my show here at Journey into Comics, I'm going to announce that Draxus, in our first return performance in 1 year, will be performing Master of Puppets. We were going to do some new stuff. We've written, some skeletons of songs, kind of fleshing things out, had some ideas, but we don't have anything concrete yet, and we want to make sure we have things a little more concrete before we come out and make fools of ourselves. It happens. I think it's a smart play. So we're going to bring a special cover and bring back an old cover. But, if you've never seen us live before, it's an experience unlike anything else. We just play good music, We work hard to sound good. We don't have anything flashy. I think we could do with some flashy, but that's just my opinion. Stage shows are 90% look and 10% sound, as somebody said once. Maybe it was me. I don't know. Speaking of music, Steel Panther just had a new album come out. Very good. From Party Like Tomorrow Is the End of the World to Glory Hole to If I Was the King to the song they wrote for me, The Burden of Being Wonderful, because I'm just a Maserati in a world of Kias. Genius would describe any of my ideas, and if I was born in 1453, yeah, Leonardo da Vinci would be jealous of me. So, that album, pick it up, all you can eat. It's phenomenal. You'll have fun with it. They're an 80s parody band, but it's worth it. Like, they're a modern era 80s hair metal parody band of themselves. But seriously, if you've never heard Steel Panther before, go listen to some of their catalog. You will not be disappointed. The Used just released a new album. I haven't really dove really into that yet. I know Cry, and that song is phenomenal. That's actually the only reason I bought the album, but I'm going to study it, and hopefully I'll get into it for sure. Now, WrestleMania 30 just happened, and this involves music. I promise I'm not going to go on a wrestling rant for everybody, although I will say it did sadden me to hear about the Ultimate Warrior passing away. He was my childhood hero. He is what got me into wrestling. I am so glad that he had the honor to be inducted when he was still alive into the WWE Hall of Fame. He got to have one more WrestleMania moment. He got to address the Raw crowd, which, as creepy as it is, it sounded like he gave his own eulogy, like he knew the next day he would not exist anymore. But because of WrestleMania 30, I heard a couple... Well, I heard one song in particular that stuck with me, and then I researched it, and I really liked the song, and I liked the band. So Monster by Imagine Dragons is a phenomenal song. I loved it. It was part of the video package highlight for Daniel Bryan. But seriously, it's like an amazing song. Really excited to listen to that a couple more times because there's just something about it, Imagine Dragons is not necessarily my style, but for some reason they've hooked me. So I'm just going to run with it, So then also I started paying closer attention to a wrestling character named Bray Wyatt. And this guy, Mark, I can't think of his name, does Bray Wyatt's theme song. And I love it. I love the theme song. It's creepy, but it's like really, it's kind of psychedelic, I guess, but that's not the word I'm looking for. It has that air of very classic, like Zeppelin-esque rock to it, but it's also very indie sounding. So anyways, I just wanted to say, like, seriously, those songs are phenomenal. Now, we've only got a few minutes left of this podcast. Episode 2, Pringles. I named it Pringles. Don't ask me why, other than the fact that I was eating pizza Pringles before I started the podcast, and I just named it that because sometimes you got to name your files, especially when you're recording on a computer. You got to save stuff. So, I wanted to make a very big announcement, and I'm going to post something about this on Facebook so people will go to so you'll come here. Hopefully, you saw on Facebook that you were going to hear a major announcement about Ink Master. And, here it is. So, through the glorious world of Twitter, I have become friendly acquaintances with one Walter Frank. Now, that name probably doesn't stand out to most of you as Walter Frank, but if I said that I have become friendly acquaintances with one Sausage from Season 4 of Ink Master, you instantly know who I am talking about. Through the lovely internet and Twitter, I started talking to Sausage, we started talking comics, and it looks like he is going to end up Skyping in on one of the future shows. I would say one of the first shows of May, I hope. We're still trying to work around logistics because he's got stuff this week, Easter's next week, and the week after C2E2, which brings me to my next major announcement about Ink Master. I'm not going to hold my breath because I know things fall through. I'm going to knock on some wood and say this. Sarah Miller, runner-up, finalist of Ink Master Season 2, myself and Miss Sarah Van Lanningham are possibly going to be going to dinner during C2E2 weekend. With that being said, I'll have her in front of me, and I am going to ask her if she would also like to be on the show because she is an illustrator. She probably has some comic stories. So hopefully we can look forward to that. How great would that be, everybody, to have two people who've been a part of the Ink Master experience on the show and ask them a bunch of different questions. So with that being said, I would like you to go to my Twitter, which is Draxus_rocker, and just shoot me questions that you would like to ask them. How I would like you to do this is don't tag them because I don't want them to know what they're going to be asked. I just want it to be a legitimate surprise. So you're going to ask your question and then hashtag WF if you want me to ask Sausage that question, or if you want Sarah Miller to answer a question that you ask me, I will ask her as long as you use the hashtag, damn it, SM. So tweet at me, and I'll be asking them your questions on a future episode of Journey into Comics. So, on one of my lost episodes, I did this thing where I read something called the Biology Report. I don't know if that lost episode will ever see the light of day. With that being said, I'm going to reread the Biology Report. It's funny because reread, and then I'm going to read this, and you're going to laugh because Not making fun of stupid people, but people are stupid. So, I'm going to take a quick breather for a second, get myself prepared, and when we come back, the Biology Report. And we are back. It's like I never left. Gotta love technology. So, let me set this up. 2005, I'm a senior in high school. Yes, I'm 27 years old. Okay, so sue me. Anyways, kid walks up to me and says, "Hey man, will you proofread my biology report? It's due in a couple days, just get it back to me." And this kid hands me this biology report and walks away. And I'm not going to joke. I'm going to read this exactly as what he has written on the paper. I'm not changing any words or mispronouncing words to make the story funnier. This is exactly what he gave me, and I'll probably put this up on my Instagram, which is the same as my Twitter, at Draxus, DRAXSIS_rocker, and that way you guys can see this. So here we go, and like I said, reread, right? Vertebrates have backbones, and they all move. There are 5 classes of vertebrates, and the are birds, mammals, amphibians, fishes, reptiles. They can be all different, but I'm only to tell you 2. Birds move by fling. On other hand, mammals move by their legs and feet. Birds breathe by their lungs, and fish breathe by their gills, and others breathe their skin. But I'm only to tell you about the one is birds. Birds have hollow bones, and the are covered in feathers. 2 is mammals. Mammals breathe with their lungs, and their eye reptiles are covered with watertight Sally skin. Amphibians move with their legs and feet. Mammals, well, they walk with our feet. And fish, they move with their swim bladder and fins. And birds fly high in the sky. Fishes are covered with scales, and they are sliming, so they can move fast in the water. Reptiles are covered with watertight Sally skin. They are well protected. Birds are covered in feathers, so they can fly high in the sky. Amphibians have special features, and they are metamorphose. Birds also have special features, and they are hollow bones. Mammals have mammary glands, so they can remember to work. Vertebrates all have some type of bone or cartilage, so they are not just a pile of mouse. There are 5 cases of vertebrates, and the have 2 ways to tell them apart, and you now how to tell when you won't to. Biology Report by Jeremy Irons. So real quick, let's back this up for a second. When I said have 2 ways to tell them apart, and you now how to tell when you won't to, that is legitimately what he wrote, but when is spelled W-I-N, and it's won't, not want. Won't. I'm not, it's not my accent that you're hearing. So this is legitimate, and I'm going to be posting a picture of that after my episode shows up online. 2005 to now, and every time I read this, I have to hold back tears of laughter. I did really good today because I was trying to be very professional for my podcast. So that's all I have. I hope everybody enjoyed episode 2, Pringles, of Journey into Comics. Hope to see you guys soon, and I'll definitely be making an announcement on my Facebook, facebook.com/The Voice of Survival. Also, I'll be making an announcement on Twitter and probably Instagram when exactly Sausage will end up on my show. To my Ellis fam who are listening, I love you all. To my other friends and family who are listening, thank you for checking out Journey into Comics. This has been episode 2. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nate Phillips, and I might not be the best in the world, but I'm going to give you everything I got.